What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of the 715 Bucks Tailgate Talk podcast as part of the Man Cave podcast, brought to you by Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to both the 715 Bucks Tailgate Talk podcast and the Man Cave podcast, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Bucks, over the weekend, picking up a win against the Pacers on Saturday night. And then last night, falling to the Thunder. Last night's game, 121 to 105. But Saturday was a big win for the Bucks because they take the season series against the Pacers. It was a 126 to 119 victory, and then it was a back-to-back for the Bucks here, falling to the Thunder at home. Now, though, begins a very difficult stretch of games for the Bucks. A long West Coast trip that will begin tomorrow when they take on the Warriors. Then they've got the Lakers. Then they've got the Kings. And then the Suns. And then the Nuggets. That goes all the way through next Wednesday. And then they return home Friday, March 28th, and their reward is taking on the New York Knicks. So we just have 15 more games left to go in this regular season for the Bucks. And it's pretty much playoff time right now, and I hope the Bucks are kind of with that mindset that this is playoff time right now, because they're still competing for that 4 seed in the East. Now they're still 4.5 games out from the 3rd spot with the Knicks, and the Knicks have been 5-5 in their last 10 games. And let me see if they have what their schedule looks like here for the Knicks, because if there is a shot to maybe potentially catch up to the Knicks. But possibly because Jalen Brunson is out for a week or two with an ankle injury, lower leg injury. So, I mean, maybe there's an opportunity there for them to catch the Knicks. But you look at the schedule for the Knicks, it's a cakewalk. I'll just call it. I mean, you got Miami, then you're at San Antonio, Charlotte, Washington, Dallas, Clippers, and then you go on the road against Milwaukee, and then you got Portland, and then Philadelphia. I mean, they got Cleveland a couple more times at the back end in April, and then Boston in there too. But, man, if they had a tough schedule for this next week or so, then I would say there's maybe a chance, but that's a cakewalk for the Knicks. Regardless, this is playoff focus time now for the Bucks, because in these final 15 games, it's going to be a race to finish in that 4 seed for the Bucks ahead of the Pacers, who are just a half game back. Pistons are 1.5 back now from the Bucks. So it's sure, I don't want to discredit the Pistons, because especially since the Bucks play the Pistons twice in the final 2 games of the regular season. And just kind of bringing up the Pistons' remaining schedule here. Yeah, they got New Orleans, Miami, Dallas, New Orleans, San Antonio, Cleveland, Minnesota, OKC, Toronto, Memphis, Sacramento, New York, Milwaukee. So, I mean, between these 3 teams with the Pacers, I didn't bring up the Pacers schedule here. What's the Pacers? So they've got Timberwolves tonight. Go T-Wolves. After that, the remaining schedule for the Pacers is Dallas, Brooklyn, Minnesota again, Lakers, Washington, OKC, Sacramento, Charlotte. They got Cleveland twice in their final 3 games. They got at Denver. So, okay, there's a few here, but I'll be really curious to see where these standings are when it comes, to March 28th, after March 28th. Because that's the day after the Bucks play the Knicks at home. To see if the Bucks are still in that 4 spot, at least the 4 spot. If they drop down, I mean, they're going to finish between 4 and 6. But we talked about this schedule, and now it's going to get really tricky. A lot of road travel, a lot of games on the road here. West Coast trip, and the Bucks have been not a great team when it comes to the road. A lot of teams are better at home, but Bucks are under 500 on the road, 14-17. your top three teams in the Eastern Conference all have winning records when it comes to their road games. And then you throw in the Pistons, they actually have a winning record on the road too. Milwaukee and Indiana. I'm highlighting these two because it looks like it's going to be, at this point in time, these two in the opening round of the playoffs again. Milwaukee is 23-12 at home, 14-17 on the road. Pacers are 20-9 at home, 16-19 on the road. So of the top 6 teams in the Eastern Conference, 2 teams have losing records on the road. Milwaukee and Indiana. That's why it's so important for Milwaukee to finish ahead of the Pacers, to finish at least in that 4 spot. So if they have to play Indiana, they'll be at home in Milwaukee because it's clear that they have the advantage there at home. And the Pacers, kind of like the Bucks, very similar in their home and away records, struggling on the road, much better at home. Take care, finish this thing strong. Obviously, we got 15 more games left to go in the regular season for the Bucks here. Got to take it game by game basis, especially with this schedule coming up in this West Coast strip. But man, if you can get by in the first round with the Pacers and then set up for one of these, we'll get to that point there. But this is playoff mentality right now. It's got to be for this Bucks team. And it's going to get a little difficult, too, because Jericho Sims is going to be out, sounds like, for an extended amount of time. I mean, before the game, Doc Rivers last night said that surgery was an option for the big man, Jericho Sims, a guy that they acquired at the deadline, or before the deadline. And he's been getting a ton of playing time with Bobby Portis serving his suspension. He's not a offensive threat, but he's an athletic big and has provided a lot of energy for this team. And him missing time before Bobby's slated to be back, that's going to be a hole for this Bucks team off the bench when you're looking for a big to kind of, replace Brook Lopez, essentially. So you're looking at your options. Does Giannis play a little bit more down low? A little bit more in that 5 spot. You got maybe a Pete Nance, Kyle Kuzma type of, maybe going a little bit of a smaller lineup at that point. But yeah, Pete Nance might be asked to play a little bit more. I wouldn't be surprised if you see the Bucks go with a Giannis, depending on who they play, but maybe Giannis plays a little bit more of that 5 and they stretch it out. Kuzma, playing a little bit more of the 4, a typical 4. Maybe they've got Gary Trent Jr. in the lineup, with Prince over there too. So, be interesting to see how the Bucks fill in that spot until Bobby Portis comes back.